What's up? We're looking at The Joker by Steve Miller, another fun one. This one's different from the last because it has a little bass line walking through the verse that you can play the chords along with, which sounds super groovy. And then you got this solo with these huge bends. It's actually played on a slide, but on account of, I don't know, I personally rather not use a slide, and in the spirit of trying to teach you all these licks in respective boxes, I'm going to show you how to do it without a slide. And if you can't reach up this high on your guitar, maybe you have an acoustic and it stops at the 12th fret, or maybe you just don't have the strength to bend yet, that's okay. I'll show you how to do it all down here. So let's just get started here in the verse. Let's zoom into the neck and get a closer look. So let's start by just going over the chords here. G, C, and D. This is how I like to fret them. You can do them this way, or you can play a G this way. It's fine if you want to. There's several ways to fret each voicing here, but I find the easiest to be this way. There's nothing wrong with this way. Technically, if we go from this G shape to this C shape, it's not a C major chord. It's a C add 9 because you're adding a 9 with this finger here. But it's still fine to play it that way. They sound very close. There's a C major, here's a C add 9. It's fine. I'm always stressing how you don't need to follow the rules completely. And then to a D major. The nice thing about fretting them this way is that you can keep your third finger on the B string 3rd fret. You can keep it there the whole time through switching. So it acts as a pivot point, a pivot finger, and you can just keep it anchored. Makes it easier to switch quicker because you have like your bearing. If you're watching on my Patreon account, you can find the diagrams for all the chords below, as well as scales and cage positions that are relevant in this song. So let's just get the rhythm part down here first without the bass notes added. So we're just going down, down, pop. So strum, strum, and then we're doing this. So my palm is coming down onto the strings and actually covering all of them up, effectively muting them. Just a pop, pop. And my fingers even come off the strings over here a little bit, but you don't need to do that. So that's a really good place to start. If that's too easy for you, all right, well let's work our way in with these bass notes here. So what these are doing, we're playing the bass with the chords at the same time. So this hand can literally strum right through these leads, right through these, let's just call them bass notes for the sake of this video. It can be as messy or clean as you want. It really, I really stress that you kind of just slowly start getting more technical with it over time. You don't even need to. You can just strum this open and that's fine. But if you got, you're jamming with a bunch of people are singing along, you don't have to be that specific. That's how I would play it live. Kind of just strum through it. It sounds a little better that way. But let's get into a little more detail here. So we're starting at the low 6th string, 3rd fret. Bum, bum. Then we're coming up to the 5th string, walking our way up. Open string, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. So start over. Then we go to the next string down, the D string, and we're going to go 0, 2, 0. So together. And we just walk our way back down those same notes. You could just practice that all day. So let's do that again. Then we go back down to the A string after that. One more time. Open, 2, 3. 2, 0, and then back down to the 6th string. And that's the whole loop. So if you can do that with the chords, takes a little bit to add both. It's going to take a little bit to, if this is one of the first songs you're learning, to be able to incorporate the bass notes with the chords. That's okay. Slowly take your time. If the bass notes are too much, don't put them in. If you like playing the bass notes, but adding the chords and the strumming afterward is too much, then don't add that in yet. Just do each separately until it just comes so smoothly to you, you don't even have to think about it. So the only other thing to add here to the verse is that you can hear a second guitar do this like every other time around. So you'll hear that. You'll hear it like this. And it sounds like a second guitar to me, but you can play it during every other time while you're doing it, as I just did. So just to go back. It's real quick to get it in there and pick it back up at the top of the verse. So, so it's after we go back down to the 5th string. Then we go to the D string, open 2, and then we hit that G string open twice. Just like that. So now we're ready to go into the chorus. It uses the same 3 chords in a slightly different order, and it just strums through the whole thing. So check it out. So at the very end of the chorus, it hangs on this D chord, and you hear him do the whoo. So I should So the only thing it did while it was hanging on that D chord is you put your pinky down. that's the whole chorus. So just to go back, G, I'm a C, back to G, C, G, C, on the D, C, G, C, C, G, G to C. And right on that G, then starts the solo. By the way, I should have mentioned this in the beginning. This song, recorded when you go to listen to the studio album, it's recorded one whole step lower. So that's 2 frets lower. So instead of this note here, you'll hear it all the way down here. Why did they do it that way? I don't know, maybe to compensate for his vocal, maybe he wanted to sing it lower. But I wanted to show it to you in standard tuning because that's most likely the way you're going to be playing it and hearing it otherwise. Let's see if I missed anything from Marty.
Really slow?
Again, I can't stress enough how much room there is for error in this song, or really how much room there is for flexibility to do what you want. Like, I just messed up a few times in there and just started strumming through it, and it's totally fine. If anybody is really gonna nitpick your picking, your strumming, and the way you're playing this song, I don't know, I would tell them to shut up, because it's however you want to play it, however you can play it. So play it however's comfortable for you and have fun with it. In the next video, we'll need a whole nother video to go over the solo and to go over how that solo makes sense regarding scales that it uses. And I also want to break down to you how exactly these bass notes end up making sense in this verse. Because they might just seem like random notes, but you're walking up the scale here. There's a scale that you got to pay attention to, or that you should pay attention to. It's the major scale. And then that kind of coincides with the pentatonic scale. And this solo also uses, well, the solo not only uses that pentatonic scale and parts of the major scale, but it also uses parts of it also adds a dominant 7 into the scale, which makes this sound. That's just a little sample of what that scale ends up letting you do, and you can use those scales through the whole song. So that's what I end up doing over the songs when I'm playing live. Because if I was going to play this with a real band, I probably wouldn't be playing this down here. The lead singer would be playing this down here, and I would be up having fun doing this kind of stuff. Just messing around with these caged shapes, as I like to call them. That's primarily what I end up doing as a lead player. So this song is going to end up being a mini series, probably a 3-part series. explaining this part 1 being just basically how to play the song. And number 2, we'll go over the solo. And number 3 will probably be a little more theoretical and show what the theoretical aspect gives you freedom to do, like I just demonstrated. So if you want to watch part 2 and 3 of this series for the Joker, subscribe to my Patreon, and I'll also include all the diagrams and chord charts that could apply to this song, and exactly how I map out my fretboard mentally, so you can follow along and think the way I do when I'm learning new songs and when I'm playing through them as a lead player. You can find the link to my Patreon and other social media in the description below. Keep playing and keep learning.